Hello and welcome back to Overbots. This is still in week 4 technically, however I took a little bit of a hiatus. Um we have a banger of a match to start off with though. This is two of the top teams in the league. Rush Hour are one of the best teams in their division and LogiSwords are one of the best teams in their division. They are very closely rated teams here. I think either one of these teams could really come out on top, but this is going to be one heck of a banger. This will be the only time these teams do play. Um, I believe this is the only time they play. Let me go check to make sure that is accurate as I say that, because I'm pretty sure they are in different divisions. However, it's been a while since I looked at this. So I gotta go to standings. Here we go. Yes, so this is their one and only match against each other before playoffs. They will probably see each other again in playoffs at some point. And here we go. Rush Hour versus LogiSwords. We're going to see how well my computer can hold up with high graphics trying to record this. It looks alright so far. So as per usual, Rush Hour going to be repping that second tank. And LogiSwords going to be repping triple tank with a 2 DPS, so a 3-2 composition, versus a 2-1-2 composition. Very much a clash of styles here, as Rush Hour have been a great team, have not yet suffered a defeat in Overbots, if I'm not mistaken, this season. They are one of the strongest teams for sure. However, they're going to run in that Mauga. Have seen some trouble with his bot in the past. However, we're going to see if the new patches and new season have fixed anything when it comes to Zarya. Maybe she'll actually use her ult now. We'll have to wait and see. Gonna have to hope that maybe it was shadow patched, or maybe my computer just will decide to do it on this patch. And man, the game looks so good on these graphic fidelity here. I should run it on this for Overbots more often. Okay, here we go. Ryan going in, gonna get that Widowmaker. He's gonna get traded out. Zen, because equal trades happening here for LogiSwords and Rush Hour respectively. Mauga gonna be able to pick up that Queen on the back end. Zarya is doing some work though. However, Mauga gonna be able to finish the Orisa off here, and so that will just be it for now. I believe LogiSwords gonna have to do a little bit to recover here, although they are getting back. Okay, so Mauga's gonna go down for Rush Hour. And eventually, LogiSwords will be able to push this thing forward. Megan, a little bit staggered out here. She probably is going to fall relatively soon. When that happens, it'll be... Oh, well, Rush Hour's re-engaging here. Let's see if they can make anything happen. Here comes the Ryan. He's going to charge in. Going to be swinging on this Zarya. However, his Zen is going to fall behind him. Mauga going to charge in here. And it looks like Lucy is going to be able to take out that Junker Queen. However, Mauga is going to fall here, and there goes the Mei 2. Okay, so Lucio going to be the last one to fall here. And that will result in LogiSwords being able to push this thing. Probably going to be able to finish this first checkpoint. We'll see if they can re-engage with that Lucio speed. It is very nice to have the only Lucio in the league. Unless AI decides to run Lucio with their support bot. The only team running a support bot. Alright, here we go. Drunker Queen going to find Lucio. Zen's going to go down quickly here. And LogiSwords, they have just been steadily pushing forward. Two of the best tanks you can really ask for. I mean, Orisa is one of the best. However, Zarya and Queen are no slouches when they're on the same team together. They just put out so much damage. Oh, we're going to see the Doom swap. So now, a little bit more damage, more of a damaging option here for that tank slot from Rush Hour. Let me make sure I have the rosters correct here. It's been a while since I have done Overbots. I apologize for any mistakes here. Yes, so these teams are correct as they stand. See how the stats are doing here. Look at those for a little bit. Here comes a big old shatter, though, from Ryan. I may have missed it in my spectating, looking at the stats for y'all. However, a huge anti coming out here from the Queen, from her ultimate, her Rampage. So the anti-healing will go through. Here comes the Queen. She just cleans everything up there, and she has been on fire for LogiSwords here. They are going to try to finish Junkertown in our first map back into Overbots League season. What season are we on? Is this season 3 or 4? This is season 3. Yeah, this is season 3. Okay. It feels like 4 because we did have a little competition before Overbots. Alright, so Lucio going to be able to take out Zarya. Widowmaker, and Zen going to be able to take Zarya. However, 3 trades coming in quickly for LogiSwords does mean they're probably going to turn this around. We'll have to see, though. It does look like it is even more so with this Sojourn. Sojourn, a very solid damage option to get on that final bot. And they just keep pushing here. LogiSwords doing an excellent job on Junkertown. Going to maintain a solid foothold in the series. They might be able to hand Rush Hour their first loss in Overbots Season 3. They can just stick to this momentum here. Ryan going to be coming up from behind here. See if he decides to pin in. He is going to pin in. Does hit the pin on the Orisa. No Fortify there. However, here comes the Transcendence. Maybe a little bit overzealous here from Rush Hour. Not necessarily needing that that Transcendence to win this. However, Doom going to find 2 picks. And May going to find that Orisa. There's only Sojourn left, and she will fall very quickly. So looks like we're going to have to see if that Graviton Surge does eventually come out here. I don't know how long she's been holding on to that. I haven't really been paying attention to the ultimate bars. If she does use that, it's going to be a good showing here, though. I want to see it pop. It's the only ultimate we really have had issue with in Overbots. Getting the bots to use, anyways. Let's see, where is she going? Shatter doesn't really get much here. Doom going to find one. Ryan gonna fall. Zen able to find that Queen. Sorry, gonna push up a little bit here. She does have that Graviton Surge, however, I don't think she's gonna use it, man. I think she is still bugged, unfortunately. I'm not sure why that is the case. LogiSword's gonna get a couple more engages here to hopefully solidify this first full take for themselves. Lucio getting a little bit overzealous here. He could pay with his life if he's not careful. He does get out, though. Zarya going to go in pretty deep here. She's able to get up the stairs without losing her life. The pin does come through. It does get the Orisa. However, that is not going to be enough to kill the Orisa. Widowmaker going to fall down as she gets a little bit overzealous there. Or maybe she got punched into that. Sojourn on the outside looking in is going to look to support her team a bit. However, it looks like LogiSwords are getting a bit stifled here on this 3rd point on Junkertown. Orisa coming in from the top rope. She will get killed eventually here, I assume. So, Rush Hour just doing what they do best with this Reinhardt team. The best team we have in Overbots Season 3. Continuing their dominance against a solid contender here. Junker Queen, unfortunately, just stuck in spawn for LogiSwords. That could be a huge detriment to their performance. Sorry, he's going in pretty deep here. The layering support ults here coming out from Rush Hour. Not exactly ideal. However, Zen and Ryan working to find some picks here, and that will just be continued dominance for Rush Hour as they win another fight fairly convincingly. However, they, like I said, they did pop 2 ults for that, so maybe not worth it in the long run. We'll have to see here if LogiSwords can finally push through this hold. They are going to be pushing into a shatter with no shield. They do have a bubble, though, that maybe could block it by some lucky chance. Wow, that was a very fast push in. Going to solo shatter that Queen, so don't have to worry about the shatter anymore, or the Mei ultimate. However, you do have to worry about this Doom punching into your team and killing your Mei. And Widow's going to actually dispatch the Doom here. Widow will fall. However, I think the rest of Rush Hour is a little bit in danger here, as it is a 3-on-2 on point here. We'll see if they continue touching this point, though. They need to touch this payload, push it forward. And it looks like they will get the push here, so we'll see how far they can go in this OT. Doom getting a little bit overzealous here. He's probably going to lose his life for this, and he does. Looks like Zarya still refuses to use that ultimate, even on this patch, unfortunately. So we do not have a fixed Zarya yet in Overbots, which is a-okay. I hear rumors that Zarya's grab actually works on other people's PCs when she's played as a bot. I'm not sure why she doesn't do it on mine, because I definitely have checked the hero settings and she does have access to that grab, so I am not quite sure why the game refuses to let her do it. However, Junkertown getting really close to the finish here for LogiSwords. This last second push has been really going good for them. They do take out that Zen Widowmaker. Excellent pick here from the Widow. We very rarely see Widow getting extreme value. However, this could be huge here. If they just touch the point, they don't touch the point. Okay, so that is where it will end. However, that is a very solid push coming out from LogiSwords. Usually we don't see Junkertown finished, I don't think. But Rush Hour, they know where they have to push it now. They got a lot of time to get the job done too. I don't believe the bots push all the way through this map all the time, so completely anticipated. See if Rush Hour can continue their dominance in Overbots Season 3. They have been such a good team. Reinhardt just barely missing out on championships year after year. This might finally be it with that Mei on his team and Lucio, two previous champions that were on AI last season. They did have that Mei, Lucio, I believe, Bastion, Torb composition, which was extremely oppressive for any team going into AI last season. The only team without a coach ended up winning. AI this year not nearly as dominant of a force. However, their pieces that moved on, they have been exceedingly well, except for Bastion. Bastion has kind of gotten a raw end of the deal this season. Usually a top prospect, but his team just this season just hasn't been quite it. So we're gonna see how Rush Hour approach this. They need to get to that third point, a little bit past the third point, or a little bit into the third point to win. So I guess not to the third point. They need to get into the second point and then go a little past the halfway point towards the third. Anyways, I'm going to stop over explaining myself. Rush Hour, they know what they need to do. Zen getting down to real low. He's going to go down to Zarya real fast here, and that is a good start here for LogiSwords. They already have won one engagement. However, some trades here going to favor Rush Hour in the grand scheme of things, since they do have that massive spawn advantage. Junker Queen going to be able to try to fend off this Mei. She will get that kill. Zen also going to go down. However, he's going to take out that Zarya, and that's going to be a huge, huge pick to get this thing moving for them. Widow putting in some work against this Reinhardt. Let's see if she can get the pick before she goes down here. She's not going to be able to secure it. Ryan just holding up that shield, keeping himself alive. Junker Queen going to stall at this point for a little bit longer. However, Rush Hour will eventually get this thing moving. We have 3 minutes on the clock here for them to get through this first point. All right, here it comes. Rush Hour going to continue pushing this thing. They are just doing an excellent job. Oh, a huge pin comes out from this Rhine. They finish it with about a minute 50 on the clock here, I think. A little bit under that, but actually basically right on that, actually. That was almost perfectly correct. Okay. They are still rocking this Doomfist. However, it has been working out for them. Look at the stats here for us. Anyways, here comes LogiSwords back onto this thing. They are immediately trying to get this spawn hold. Zen going to be traded out. However, Zarya is going to go down. The beat could be huge here to save the team. Here comes the Doomfist. He's going to get onto this Orisa. Can he finish the kill? He will. And eventually, it looks like Rush Hour is going to be able to push through this one. As the supports and Doom just do enough there to get this thing moving again. LogiSword's going to have a couple more engages on this second point, I believe. May at least one more engage here. Try and tighten things up. If they can win one fight here, they will be in a very prime position to take this map away from Rush Hour. Gonna get that Junker Queen. Mei gonna get 2 excellent picks here, and this will actually just lead to Rush Hour taking this. And this is getting into a very dangerous territory here for LogiSwords, as they don't have much they have to push through on this final point. We will not see a final engage on the second checkpoint, so they are going to have to make it a 3rd point hold here. They do have a lot of distance to work with, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. Mei's going to go down immediately. However, losing any members is going to be very detrimental to the side of LogiSwords. However, right now they are doing a great job of keeping themselves up despite not having any support. 4 minutes on the clock for Rush Hour to work with. They do have that Zen ultimate in their back pocket. Of course, as we know, the overclock and the Zarya ult not seemingly going to be used in this one. A trade going to favor Rush Hour since they have that massive spawn advantage. And Lucio dying is going to be bound to come back very quick. However, Zen going down is not ideal. Rush Hour, I'd say, still favored simply because of spawn advantage. I think they will eventually win this one. Doom able to take out both tanks there. The triple tank composition is going to eventually fall here. It looks like Junker Queen, I don't know if she backed up or if she died earlier in the fight. I don't remember if she was the one that fell. Anyways, Rush Hour eventually going to be able to push through that, and they have 3 minutes to work with to get around this final bend and into the box of victory. You're going to have to see one crucial fight win here. Zen getting a little bit overzealous. What is Zen? Oh, no, he's in the spawn. Never mind. I forget they just look like they're next to each other. Okay, so we will at least see one more fight here. LogiSwords really have to win this fight if they want any shot at this map. Actually, they have to win this fight. Okay, Queen goes down. That's not good. However, a trade out from that Reinhardt means this fight is even. Orisa going to be able to take out Lucio, and now LogiSwords are favored. Doomfist still up, though, on that Widowmaker. Widowmaker will take him out with the SMG, so it's looking more and more likely that LogiSwords could run this back. Mei going up top. She's going to drop on the back line. She is going up all alone. This is going to result in a massive stagger for Rush Hour. And now suddenly they're down to 2 minutes. LogiSwords giving themselves an ample opportunity here to take this map away and go up 1-0 in this series. Rush Hour regrouping here. I'll be very curious to see how some more coffee maps go. Zen getting in very aggressive. He is going to lose his life for that aggression. Ryan's going to go down next, and there's just so much poke going in through here. I don't know if Rush Hour is going to be able to sustain through this. This could be a great opportunity for LogiSwords to get a hold here on Junkertown. They only have to hold out for another 90 seconds. However, the ultimate advantage does come in big. I believe on the side of Rush Hour, there are more impactful ults in Overbots than on the other side. That Widow ult, not very useful. Zarya and Sojourn both just neglecting to use those ults. Comes the wall hacks. The beat is just such a massive ult too. Zarya Junker Queen gonna go down immediately. Here comes Widowmaker. Widowmaker's gonna fall, and suddenly LogiSwords don't have much hope to hold on to here. They're going to have to just stagger out for as long as they can. Hope they can get these respawns before they can cross the finish line. We'll have to see here if they can make it in time. I don't know if we're going to see the regroup in time. Their team is back. However, does Zarya get this touch? Crucial question coming down to it. Can Zarya get out here? Will she touch this payload? She is getting very close. She's on it. She does bubble herself. Does she stay on it? She is still on it. However, she's dead, and that is just going to be it. So, Rush Hour come out on top in a very close map 1. Good work by them. They are one of, if not the most dominant team we have in Overwatch Season 3. I expect this team to go very far in playoffs. Nice to see, even after all the patches, all the wait time in this 3rd season, this team is still as dominant as ever. Going to be headed to Circuit Royale, so we're going straight into another escort here. Going to have to see what bots are brought out here for their 5th wildcard spots. Next season, we will be returning to the 3-bot bracket, or 3-bot format. And I think what we're going to do is just every 3 seasons is going to be a 3-bot, a 4-bot, and then 4 plus the extra bot, just to spice things up for every season. So the format is just going to constantly be cycling between those 3. I think that is the most fair and most fun way to do it, and you always have a 4-man roster that way. However, the strategies do change depending on who you have. And it does give some bots an extra opportunity to make it to the grand finals and claim a crown, even if they're riding a bench. It does create some different metas for each and every format. All right, here we go. Rush Hour lead the series 1-0. They're going to try to take it to LogiSwords here. Cassidy going to be the pick. That is a huge pickup, I think. Actually, Sojourn's pretty good too, though, so it's about an equivalent exchange. Widowmaker going to fall down here, and that is just going to be the first fight. Going pretty handily the way of Rush Hour. Going to continue their dominant streak here against LogiSwords. This is the last week of... Oh my word. This is the last week of Outside Division play. We have this one, and then No Diff Unks versus Moldy Milkers. And that will be the final Outside Division play before playoffs. And if I recall how we did playoffs last season, it was double elimination. The first seed of one division goes up against the second seed of the other division. And they go into a double elimination bracket with a bracket reset if it is needed in the finals. Get some fun matchups that way. Right now, Rush Hour just completely bringing it to LogiSwords. Hasn't even been close. This Lucio Zen squad has just been so dominant through Overwatch Season 3. May and Lucio making another run at the crown here. They have been two of our top performers, actually. Sombra going to be able to get some little value here. She is the one bot that actually doesn't have a place on a team at the moment. Or, yeah, she is the only free agent in Overbots, as we can only have one with how many teams we have and how much roster everyone gets. The one excluded bot. I'm going to have to hope in new seasons of Overbots that Overwatch actually does release some more bots for their heroes. It would be Nice to have 5-man rosters for everyone, if we could. However, I don't think we can ever get to... maybe we could. I don't know, actually. How many? Are there 40 characters in Overwatch? If there's 40 characters, we can. I think there are. I think there's 40 heroes. I could be wrong. But if there was a bot for every hero, we could do 5-man format. Wouldn't have every team with like one tank and anything, but like that. But it would be close enough. All right. Here we go. Oh, Lucio just gets absolutely shredded here. Zen gonna fall next. Looks like LogiSwords are eventually gonna start making their way through this fight. Sombra actually doing an excellent job of getting a couple picks here. However, can they finish this off? Reinhardt gonna get hacked, and Dispatch, actually he didn't even get hacked. It does look like LogiSwords are eventually gonna push through this, but it has been such a brutal fight here just to get through this first point, and Lucio and Zen are making their way back. I believe Lucio's probably just gonna fall here, or Zen's gonna fall here, lose his life. However, Lucio's still coming in. Sorry, he's getting real low. However, she will eventually, or she will just live. I don't believe we're going to see another engage from Rush Hour here. I don't think they have enough time. So LogiSwords are eventually going to push through this first point. Widowmaker going to be able to remove the Zarya. However, their Zarya will be taken out in retaliation. May's gonna eventually fall here, so LogiSword's gonna be able to keep pushing this thing. Lucio looking like he's gonna come back for another feed. Zen will go down here, so all that's left on this point is this Lucio. He will eventually fall, and eventually LogiSwords are gonna start pushing this thing through this second point. A lot of ultimates up here on the side of Rush Hour. We'll see if they pop any. So much to work with if you are Rush Hour here. They are pushing in pretty deep. Here comes the pin. Gonna pick up that Widowmaker. First, he's gonna be able to remove Zen. However, she's gonna get removed herself. Ryan's gonna be taken down by that Sombra. Big EMP coming through here. Gonna get all members. However, the beat even bigger. Gonna result in Rush Hour actually being able to take this fight, I believe. And a minute on the clock here is all that's left for LogiSwords to get through this. They do, however, remove that Zarya. Junker Queen going to be taken out by the Zen as well as Widowmaker, though. And it looks more and more likely that this could just be where the payload stops. We'll have to see, though. Orisa getting kicked in. She's eventually going to fall here. And only 30 seconds left. Yeah, this is probably where the payload stops. This could very well still be a 3-0 by Rush Hour. And that's got to be really scary, as LogiSwords are probably the second best team in this league. Seeing them get manhandled by Rush Hour like this is not a good sight at all for their chances at playoffs, or chances in playoffs against this squad. This is the only time they'll see each other before playoffs. Shatter going to come in, hit 2. However, no follow-up does mean LogiSwords are going to be in here up 1. Despite that Transcendence, Zen is eventually going to fall here, I think. He does actually take out Queen before going down. So LogiSword's going to get a little bit more of a push going. They cannot step off this payload, though. They need to stay on it the whole way through. They almost get off. Widowmaker going to get pinned. She's going to go down. Does anyone get this touch? Looks like Lucio's going to fall here. Sombra and Zarya pushing this thing forward. Orisa on the low ground against this Reinhardt. Sombra going to be able to remove another one, and it looks like eventually LogiSwords are actually going to be able to push through this thing as long as they stay on this cart. As long as they do not remove themselves from this cart, they should have an awfully good chance of just pushing this thing in. Mei going to go down here to the Sombra. Lucio trying to boot people off the payload, trying to disorganize them. However, they are able to stay on, and this does mean I believe we will see a finish as long as they do not remove themselves from this cart. And they do bring it all the way in, despite losing their Junker Queen at the end there. Zen getting very low. He's going to fall to the Widowmaker. However, Widow going to lose her life to that Zarya. To that tank 1 roll. And we're going to have to see some desperation here out of LogiSwords if they want to continue this series. A huge bubble coming out from Zarya. However, it doesn't seem to affect too much as eventually her team does just fall. 51 seconds here for the sides of LogiSwords. Can they get something going? They have that Queen ultimate, which we know they use. They have the Sombra ultimate, which also will be used. Actually, yeah, the Sombra ult was used earlier. Huge pin coming out, though, and the Queen ult only collects on 2, and it's probably not even going to finish those kills. Nope, it does not. And that is probably just it. So LogiSwords get held right on the second point, essentially. 0 meterage gained. And that will just be it. Rush Hour cleaning up the kills. Well, we'll see. There'll be another touch here. Widowmaker is going to go down, though, and that's not ideal. EMP does come through, but that's just not going to be enough. They do not even get off the point. That's a huge beat to keep Rush Hour in this, and a Rush Hour going to be able to, well, hold them here on the second point at 0 meterage. So we're in an odd spot where a tie is technically possible on this map. Because I believe it was actually 0 meterage on that second point, yes. So we are in an odd situation where if Rush Hour does the exact same thing and gets stalled out on that second point, this could be a draw. I doubt that'll happen, though. I believe Rush Hour will probably just push it through if they do get there. However, it is not easy to get up there. As we saw from LogiSword's attack, it was not easy. It's not even easy to get it here on Circuit Royale. The second point can be brutal at times. Actually, especially the first point. The first point is especially brutal at times. This first corner. Circuit's very strange, though. Sigma has recently fallen out of the actual meta, so not a good sign for the Sigma bot, who is awful to begin with. If not even his raw numbers are going to be able to keep up. That bot is unfortunately probably in a place where he is just unfixable. I don't expect that bot to ever see a grand finals unless he is getting carried by his team. Alright, here we go. Here comes Rush Hour. Can they secure the second map? Well, LogiSword's doing a good job to limit the damage here. They do have a very low Zarya. However, they are going to be able to dispatch that Rhine, and that's a big pick to get at the end of this fight. Only Mei left. If she goes down, that's a big stagger. So, will their Sombra be able to re-engage with them in time? I do not know. She's not exactly the most useful on this roster currently. However, she is another piece that the enemy will have to deal with. That is an important thing to note. Zarya going to be taken very low here. She will eventually fall to the Orisa. Zen going to be able to take out Orisa, though. Lucio going to fall. So trades arguably always favor Rush Hour with how the spawn advantage works here. So any semblance of a trade is a good one. However, it looks like at the end of this fight, a lot of it is going LogiSword's way. They just need to finish off this Lucio. They'll be in a very good spot. However, their health bars are very, very low. They do not have a healer. So, Junker Queen gonna fall here to the pressure of the Zarya as well as the Mei on the outside looking in. And it looks like eventually LogiSwords are gonna fall here. So, see if Orisa can get a little bit more stall out from the enemy team here before she falls. And we will see at least one other hold from LogiSwords before this first point is taken. They're going to have to make it count here. Junker Queen putting in some massive work for the side of LogiSwords. On the other side, Tank 1 has actually been putting in a lot of work on that Zarya. Here comes the Mei ultimate. It's not actually going to catch anyone here. Going to zone out a lot of LogiSwords members, though. Orisa does fall in the back line. Lucio going to be taken down, and this is looking more and more like a Rush Hour 0.1 victory here. Have to see if Sombra can at least deal with something or stall out a little bit. Does seem like she will be able to give everyone on her team probable second point spawns here, so none of them are going to be split spawned. She did stay on that point long enough where she will be with her team on the second point. Ursa going to go in very deep. Does pop that ult. Not going to get punished for it at all. The huge anti against this Transcendence going to result in 2 deaths here on the side of Rush Hour. Or, yeah, and LogiSwords. Well, their health bars are very low despite that. Can Mei go down? If Mei goes down here, okay, so Ryan's going to pick up those last 2 kills, though. They have 3 minutes to get it around this bend. I believe LogiSwords should be back in time for a re-engage before this Ryan can push it all the way around himself. They have a monster time bank to work with in comparison, though, so if they do take this second checkpoint right here and now, it is likely over for this second map. LogiSwords need to come up with something right here and now if they want to stay in this series and make it 1 apiece. Massive beat, however, it does get canceled out a bit. Widowmaker able to pick up 2 here, however, the trades are coming through and they're favoring Rush Hour just a little bit. Ryan is eventually going to fall. However, the 2, Mei and... Oh, okay, so it looks like LogiSwords are going to be able to win this. The health bar is very low on that Queen and Zarya. However, they are just barely going to come out on top here. Unless Mei can land some sick headshots. So LogiSwords sticking with it here. It's looking like Rush Hour putting a little bit of work here. They might be able to pull this one out. And it looks like they will just barely get the job done here. I don't know if we're even going to see a re-engage with how the spawns are working. This could just be it, and I think it will be. So that will be the map. They're going to take it here, and all they have to do is wait for this thing to turn. Well, let's see if Orisa can get the touch first. And they don't turn in time. Orisa, however, going to get off the point, and that is just going to lead to it being that. Rush Hour go up 2-0 here. They are on match point already against the second best team in Overbots. It is not looking good here for LogiSwords at all. If they go down 3-0 in this, I believe they will now be behind the Blazing Magi, my team. And they're going to have to get the job done here on Runasapi. Or they will be going down 3-0. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Full-on domination from Rush Hour thus far. It hasn't really been... I mean, they've had some decent pushes, but they just haven't seemed to have the steam to get through all 3 points. Or even put up a semblance of a fight on defense. Seems like they always just get steamrolled over against this Rush Hour squad. Rush Hour proving why they are probably the best team in this league for this season of Overbots. Reinhardt might finally get his crown. I believe he is a 2-time All-Star. with 0 star. Actually, well, he didn't get. We didn't do all stars for the teams that. Oh no, he was an all star. He was an all star in season 1. So yeah, he's a 2 times. He's a 2-time all star. But anyways, we will have to see here. Can they get the job done? Got the Junkrat. Junkrat could be a big boon here for LogiSwords. That is a huge DPS to pick up. Does a massive amount of damage. Gonna have the Orisa, though, on the other side, which is a crazy tank pickup. Looks like Rush Hour again, the better end of the deal with their bot. Tank 1, absolutely obliterating on that Orisa. Crazy tank to pick up. Very high value bot. Brought onto their team for free, essentially. Junkrat on the other side, not quite as valuable as that Orisa. Maybe if they rolled into Bastion. Very hard to roll into that. But if they do get the Bastion roll, that is one of the best things for LogiSwords that could happen. Orisa just turning this game in from bad to worse. For LogiSwords, though, it's not even close. Zen going to be able to take out 2 with the kick. And the trades just fully favoring Rush Hour here. It does look like this one is probably just going to be a 3-0. Spells curtains here for LogiSwords. Absolute domination coming out from this Rush Hour squad. They have built a damn near perfect team for Overbot Season 3. Gonna be hard to dethrone them. Of course, trades, I believe, are off limits. Trades stop at that after week 3. Or I believe that is what we had it set to. Either way, I know the trades are gone for this season. So, gonna have to hope whatever teams can make a fighting chance against this roster. Want to see some close games in playoffs. However, right now, LogiSwords not looking like a threat at all for Rush Hour. Rush Hour getting very close to that 3-0. They can smell it. Sojourn, however, a great pick coming out for LogiSwords. Does find that Lucio on the re-engage. However, the trades are still favoring Rush Hour with this double support composition. Ooh, Orisa able to pick up 2, though. She will win that fight single-handedly, essentially, as she also picks up the Zen at the back end there. Great ultimate coming out from Orisa. Able to turn that around, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Rush Hour just have so much momentum in this matchup. They do have an Orisa ult of their own, as well as that Mei ultimate. Here comes the Mei ult and the Orisa ult. Gonna find value on that Zarya, and Orisa goes down. Here comes the trance. A little bit overzealous here from the side of Rush Hour, but it doesn't even matter. Queen's gonna fall here. Widowmaker's gonna go down. You might as well just throw everything into this fight, because you're probably taking this one home. It's coming home 3-0. Rush Hour. I almost can say that with 100% guarantee at this point. This hasn't even been close on Runasapi. It would take a miracle to turn this around for LogiSwords. Getting very close to the finish here. A big old Queen ultimate. Sojourn going to be able to remove that Zen. Sojourn also going to be able to take out Orisa, and it looks like LogiSwords will win this one fight, but like I said, the momentum is just so heavily in Rush Hour's favor that even if you win one fight, bring it all the way back to center stage just to lose a fight, and it goes all the way back. Back and forth and back and forth, and you have to win so many fights back to back to turn this around. You do have enough time to do it, theoretically, but it's just going to take such a momentum swing from the side of LogiSwords if they want to make this one happen on Runasapi. Orisa getting very low already. They are able to take out the Zen. Okay, so LogiSwords putting a little bit of work. However, the Shatter is massive from Rush Hour, and that's going to be it. Orisa taking out 2. May going to take out another 3, actually. So, a full house there. 2 by the May, 3 by the Orisa. Going to result in a team fight win for Rush Hour. They are going to keep pushing this thing. And it's just looking desperate here from LogiSwords. They just can't put it together. Unfortunately, being locked out of that Orisa ult. Huge hindrance to the side of LogiSwords. The beat gonna come in massive here. And eventually, Rush Hour gonna see the light of day. They will eventually push this thing all the way through, I believe. It's just a matter of when will LogiSwords give up. They are at 0 meters to 138 right now. Now 39. And Widowmaker gonna grab that Zen pick. Can she turn this around on her own? I don't think so. Some picks are still favoring Rush Hour, and the health bars just look so much better on their side. Comes the May ultimate. It is gonna find the Zarya, freeze her on the back end, and they're gonna push it in while she's frozen behind them. Oh, she doesn't even get the touch. That is it. Rush Hour win 3-0. Wasn't even close. GG's. Go next.